Good morning, everybody. My name is Jonathan Sweeney, a lead SOC analyst with WAPAC Labs. Today's weekly threat brief contains information gathered from open source and WAPAC Labs collections over the past 7 days. For the agenda today, we are going to briefly discuss recent reporting, open source and social media, 7 days of trending, and keylogger activity. Last week, WAPAC Labs reported on the connection between Conficker botnet and web server attacks we've been seeing on customer networks. As we continue to see those PHP DieScan and Think PHP RCE attempts, we are now seeing 2 new Joomla exploits from those same botnet IPs. In addition to the 3 previously reported exploits, we are observing Joomla core session RCE and Joomla JDatabase driver MySQL unserialized code execution attempts. The former indicates an attempt to exploit an RCE vulnerability in Joomla CMS versions 1.5.0 through 3.4.5. The vulnerability is caused by insufficient sanitizing of user-supplied inputs in the application when handling crafted HTTP headers. An attacker can exploit this to execute arbitrary code within the context of the application via a specially crafted HTTP header. The second exploit allows remote attackers to conduct PHP object injection attacks and execute arbitrary PHP code via the HTTP user agent header in the same versions of Joomla. 85% of all Joomla attacks this month have been from Conficker botnet IPs, most of which are from China. During 50% of all Joomla attacks this month, we saw PHP RCEs from the same IP that sent those exploits. Conficker was first discovered in 2009, but it seems a decade later it's still expanding and becoming more and more efficient. In just the past 7 days, WAPAC Labs has collected almost 12,000 indicators associated with Conficker. In cyber news over the last 7 days, we see a change in the threat actors topping the list. This week, we see Anon Ghost at the top spot, with Hezbollah at number 2, Shadow Brokers in the community following, and Fin7 has creeped back into the top 5 again this week. Anon Ghost is a sect of Anonymous out of Brazil, currently taking part in the Op Israel campaign. Hezbollah is a militant group based out of Lebanon. Hezbollah routinely shows up in our top 5 threat actors, and recently the Hezbollah leaders expressed their anger with the U.S. designation of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist group. They also warned that the group and its allies may respond to further escalation. The IRG is a leading supporter of the terrorist group Hezbollah. Shadow Brokers was notorious for releasing the stolen NSA tools in 2016, and the community is an American group of young men, with the oldest, I believe, at about 28 years old, accused of a scheme in which the hackers and a few mobile telecoms employees would steal victims' identities by stealing their phone number to gain access to their digital currencies via a SIM swapping attack. Kaspersky Labs recently found that Fin7, closely associated with the Carbanak APT, has created a fake company over in Russia that claims to be a legitimate cybersecurity vendor. The company's website is actually registered to a server that Fin7 uses as a command and control. Targeted industries this week are IT, software, finance, and services. For malware, we see Electric Fish, which has been attributed to the North Korean Lazarus Group, famously responsible for the Sony hack. Electric Fish malware is a command line utility whose primary purpose is to quickly funnel traffic between 2 IP addresses. WannaCry and NotPetya ransomware have returned to the UK, and it should be noted that the North Koreans were allegedly behind the 2017 global outbreak of WannaCry ransomware. Dark IRC is a Trojan that uses the internet relay chat connection as a backdoor to the victim device. So top cyber stories in social media include the Israeli Defense Force, the IDF, posting on Twitter about how they used an OSI Layer 1 attack against a building allegedly used as the cyber headquarters for Hamas by blowing it up. The city of Baltimore was hit with ransomware for the 2nd time in a little over a year, which caused them to shut down a majority of their servers. And finally, we heard about hackers attempting to sell what they claim is the source code for 3 quote-unquote major antivirus engines. Last week, WAPAC Labs recorded approximately 1.6 million new indicators. And these collections include our threat recon, keylogger, malicious emails, and our sinkhole traffic. The numbers on this slide show the new indicators in the respective collections. The indicators are available to paid RSA members weekly, as well as our blacklists, which come in CSV, FortiSIM, and Proofpoint formats. These are APT and botnet indicators collected in the last week. We had 42 unique APT indicators in the past 7 days, down about 400 indicators from last week. You can use your two-factor authentication to log into CTEK and download the APT's indicators discussed today, which are on the next slide. Topping the list again here, we can see SickyPot and Mauti APT. Making it into our collections also are Perpy and Parsum APTs as well. Botnet activity over the last 7 days remains fairly consistent with prior trending. China still holds the largest share of botnet activity with 31 Jinrong Street and China Unicom. AS9829, which is the national internet backbone for India, has maintained its presence in the top 3. The open source data correlates pretty closely with the data observed in WAPAC Labs' own collections. On the cloud security front, we still see the same culprits as last week, with Peak 10 and Amazon in the top spots, and Rackspace switched with TierPoint for the caution risk environment this week. Our blacklists are published weekly. On the right-hand side, you can see some of our keylogger stats. We observed 64,708 connections from new unique IP addresses to WAPAC Labs Sinkhole domains. Free RSA members receive Tearline products, and paid RSA members receive complete blacklists with API access. For members that are not set up to ingest intelligence, Trusted Internet is the managed security service provider, and we use Fortinet and Proofpoint products to push intel and defend our customer networks. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, or feedback. Thank you all for coming, and have a great day. See you next week.